You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the 7 and a Hook podcast, the world's premier sports betting podcast. Your source for the best information and insight when it comes to sports wagering. We cover it all because you bet on it all. So let's head up to the studio and get this show rolling.
Hello and welcome everyone to tonight's episode of the 7 and a Hook podcast, the world's premier sports betting podcast. I am Patrick J. Brooks, aka Brooksie, sitting alongside my co-partner in crime in our new Boston studio, Eric EZ Money LaFleche. Eric, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing pretty good for a Wednesday. Week 1 in the NFL is in the books now. Has some wild and crazy games. 2 weeks already down in the college football season.
Yeah, that's
Got
right.
lots to talk about, all kinds of different sports. But, let's run through our handles real quick. Find us on Twitter at Patrick J. Brooks. I am at Eric LaFleche. The show is on Twitter at 7 and a Hook, the number 7. Instagram's at 7 and a Hook, the same, the number 7 and a Hook. Facebook.com/7 and a Hook. You can see the theme here.
It's the number 7.
Website, when we get it done, soon I hope, is going to be 7andahook.com, the number 7andahook.com. I want you to explain to everybody, Patrick, what the hook is referring to.
Yeah, for the degenerate gamblers like us, we know, right?
Yes.
The hook is that half point, right? On a spread, you got 7.5. Well, that's 7. That 0.5 is the hook, and that hook can either help you or it can hurt you. On this show, it's going to help you, okay? And what this show encompasses, because and thank you to everybody that's been listening and following us on all our socials. We're getting a lot of traction. We've got a bunch of direct messages and emails already. Appreciate it. Keep it up. This show is all-encompassing. It isn't just football. I mean, we cover everything: football, basketball, baseball, hockey, bass fishing, MMA sports, auto racing. I mean, anything that you can place a wager on, we're going to talk about it. And why do we do that? We cover it all because you bet on it all. And that's really how we look at things, right, Eric?
That is absolutely, and it's really as simple as that. If it can be wagered, it's going to be wagered. We want to take advantage of it and give you the best opportunity to cash that winning ticket.
Yeah, and talking about cashing winning tickets, Eric,
hey,
the 7 and a Hook.
myself on the back. Okay?
Yeah, double pat on the back. Last week, on the board, our picks, and you can go back and look at last week's podcast, so we can't make up this stuff. We went 21 wins, 15 losses, okay? That's a pretty good week for anybody. I mean, if you're doing,
absolutely,
we use a $100 baseline bet, that's a plus 550. Am I right? 550, is that what we did? It's 2,100 minus a six. No, so plus 450.
450, yeah.
That's a $450 to the plus. Just if you followed our all of our plays with a $100 bet. I mean, I take that every week. I don't know about you.
Absolutely, without a doubt, $450 winning on a little 7 and Hook podcast, sports, the nation's premier, I should say, sports betting podcast.
All day, every day.
Also, as Patrick alluded to, the podcast can be found on our YouTube channel. Just search 7 and a Hook. You'll find us there. We're going to come at you each and every week with views that a lot of other analysts don't really provide, Patrick. We go in depth. We have insiders that give us information.
Oh yeah, the moles, our moles.
We have several moles on several different teams, so we kind of may have some news that you might not hear about until after the podcast on the mainstream medias. So follow us. Again, subscribe on YouTube. 7 and a Hook, the number 7 and a Hook. You'll find us on YouTube. Please subscribe. Hit that bell, which means that you'll be alerted first when our new podcast goes up each and every week. So
nice.
We might as well get going on tonight's show agenda, Patrick.
Yeah, well, we're going to start off. We're each going to kind of break down the Thursday night game. Your New York Football Giants are on the road to take on the Washington No-Names. But that's going to be an interesting clash, Eric. I mean, that's a rivalry. It goes back a lot of years.
Oh yeah.
So records don't mean a lot in those rivalry games. Then Eric and I are going to break down three. We've each picked three NFL games. We call it kind of our spotlight games this week. So we're going to give our take on that. And one of those games on each of us is going to be our GOTW, which is our game of the week.
That is exactly right. And we're also going to spotlight a couple college football games each.
Right. Yeah.
Monday Night Football, of course, we'll cover that as well. We're going to end the show, if we have time, weather time permitting, I should say, with some UFC, the light heavyweight main event between Anthony Lionheart Smith, versus Ryan Superman Spann, which is scheduled for September 18th in Las Vegas. So we'll cover that as well. Because why? Because we cover it all because you bet on it all.
Because you bet on it all. Now, before we go to Thursday Night Football, I also want to talk about, yes, we do the show. We're gonna be working the show in. Looks like we're gonna do 2 shows a week once we have everything rocking and rolling. But even when we don't have shows, folks, go to our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We put up, we can call them plays of the day, or picks of the day. And Eric
quick
and I,
hits and
quick
like
hitters, whatever you want to call them. We put up kind of what we think is hot for that day, or maybe the next day. And the last video we put up was, and like I said, we cover it all because you bet on it all, was UEFA's Champions League yesterday. We told you to watch the Bayern Munich Barcelona match, and we said to take Bayern Munich minus 105. They won the match, and we also told you that the goal total was going to go over 2.5. Well, they scored 3 goals.
Yep.
Okay. Take a look at our socials. There's going to be plays, even though we may not have a show that day. There's going to be some valuable stuff, Eric, that we're going to be sharing with everybody.
Absolutely, and it's going to cover every genre of sport you can imagine. Like Patrick said in the opening, fishing even, bowling, we have golf, we have postseason for the Major League Baseball coming up with the World Series, pennant races. Then you get the NBA starting up right around the corner.
Which is
NFL.
Eric's forte. I'm just letting everybody know.
Love the NBA, love baseball, love football, love all sports. Yeah. But as far as you want inside information, the NBA, when we cover it, is the place to go. So why don't we get right on to it? The New York Football Giants are traveling to Washington to play the Washington football team Thursday night. Washington is a 3.5-point favorite at home. I'm going to let you start this off, Patrick, because I have lots of thoughts.
Oh, yeah. And again, this is Eric's team, the New York Football Giants, just so you know.
Yes, I am actually admitting that. Folks.
Yes, he is. And that's okay. But you know what? He bets with his head, not his heart. So you'd be surprised sometimes where he leads. But anyways, this is how I see it. Point total set at 45 and a hook. And like Eric said, the no-names are 3.5-point favorites. Washington not only lost to the Chargers last week, they lost their starting quarterback. Right, Ryan Fitzpatrick has a hip injury, maybe out 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. They don't know.
Right.
Nobody knows. Right. But Taylor Heinke, I butchered his name. Heinke. Right. Okay. Well, he was thrust into the starting role. You know what? Didn't have a great day, but didn't have a bad day. 11 for 15, threw for 122 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and his quarterback rating was 119. So. Had an efficient day overall, but not a winning day. The other bright spot of the game, Eric, was Antonio Gibson, 90 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was still a 20-16 loss. A loss is a loss is a loss. Giants on the other side, 27-13.
Oh boy!
I don't think the game was that close against the Broncos. It looked closer on the scoreboard, but it really wasn't if you watched the game. And I know Eric was tuning in.
Yeah, it was not that close.
wasn't a shining day for the G-men. Now, that being said, Jones, their quarterback, had a decent day. 267 yards passing, 1 touchdown throwing, 1 touchdown rushing. Saquon Barkley, non-existent. 10 rushes, 26 yards. Yep. So, not a good day for him. Okay, so Giants want to put last week's game behind. So do the no-namers. The Giants' last 5 games against Washington, they beat them straight up 4 out of 5.
Yep.
Giants have their number, hands down. Saquon Barkley feasts off of the Washington no-names. Last 3 games, he's had 597 yards from scrimmage. He's averaging 200 yards combined rushing and passing when they play Washington. So, and Mr. Jones, he has 8 wins as a starting quarterback, Eric. 4 of them come against Washington. Okay, I think he's going to pick up his 5th win this week. I like the Giants getting the 3 in the hook. And as far as the 41 and a hook point total, last 5 games these two teams have played, they've combined for 241 points. That's a 48-point average over 5 games. I like the over. Giants and the over.
Kind of surprises me, actually, even though I'm a Giants fan. Diehard for almost 40 years. Now, last week with Saquon getting 10 carries for a little over 20 yards, that's okay by me coming off a major knee injury, torn ACL, torn MCL. If you know Saquon, like we know Saquon, he did all of the proper preparation to get back. They used him sparingly because this was his first game back. I do think that he does get 15 to 17 carries this week. My problem is my lowly Giants are, at this point, not a good football team, plain and simple. And I think they will become better this year as Barkley becomes better this year because you have to. Daniel Jones, whatever you want to call him, has to get some time in the pocket to make a decision. Right now he's getting barely time for one read. Okay, he might have 1.2, 1.3 seconds at the most in the pocket. Now, besides his 80-yard run scamper debacle of last year, he is a pocket passer. Okay, he likes a pocket. He's a big, strong kid. I still like him. There are some of our insiders throughout the league are saying that this year for Daniel Jones, if he doesn't perform, he may not be the franchise quarterback that the Giants thought they had drafted.
Wow.
I'm not there yet because I don't think the Giants have given him a fair shake as far as receiver core. He's pretty good receiving right now. He does have Ingram at tight end, which is another big, strong guy that he can pass to. I just see, even with Fitzmagic injured, I think Gibson goes off for between 150 and 175. The Giants' interior line on the Giants' defense is iffy. If the offensive line for Washington can create a little bit of holes, I think Gibson's going to have a field day. And as much as I want to pick the Giants, we're here to make you money, and I'm seeing Washington. I'm betting Washington, and I'm going to bet the under.
Okay.
I only bet the under because, and I know you alluded to the Giants and Washington scoring a bunch of points. We don't have a Giants team currently that's capable of scoring points in bunches. They're good for a 14 to 17 point game right now. 41.5. I'm definitely taking the under, and unfortunately, because I'm a Giants fan, like you said, we bet with our brain, not our heart.
That's right.
I'm picking Washington at home. They are going to cover this game.
All right. So that's I understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure people understand where I'm coming. Now, before we move on to the next game, we always like some props, right?
Yeah.
We love some props. So,
Yeah.
and this is taken from our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel, you listening? Sponsorship. Oh, did I just say that out loud? I did.
No,
anyways,
I didn't hear.
free plug for FanDuel. I love FanDuel,
Yes.
and
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah.
get to DraftKings later. But
Definitely.
anyways, Kenny Galladay. Okay, Eric and I were looking at this prop earlier. 50 and a hook, 50 and a half yards for the game. Okay, it's minus 114 to the over. He got 64 yards receiving last week, and he really didn't do much. He got 4 receptions, 64 yards. As a whole, he's averaging in his career over 75 yards per game. I think Washington is their defensive backs aren't the greatest in the world, and I think Mr. Jones is going to hook up with this guy 6-8 times. So I like the over 50 and a hook yards for Kenny Galladay. Check it out on FanDuel. Sponsorship. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was there an echo in here?
Yeah, there might be. All right,
That would be a pretty solid bet. I mean, you're going to be able to tell, like I talked about last week with Eli Manning's tell and stuff. You can tell in the first possession or two how the Giants' day is going to be.
You did say that. You did. Yeah.
Now, I haven't really studied Daniel Jones enough yet to figure out his tell. All quarterbacks have a tell eventually.
Do. Yeah.
Like for instance, I'm bringing everybody back to the 80s here. Dan Marino, great quarterback from Miami. When he would step into his first couple throws, you knew it was going to be a bullet day.
Oh yeah.
Same with Dan Fouts from the old Chargers. Eli Manning's was, if he passes off his back foot, the Giants are in trouble the rest of the day, and that's the way it was time and time again. Daniel Jones, if he gets time, and the whole key to this game is if the offensive line for the Giants can give him some time.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to respect the run because Barkley's not back 100% yet.
Right. Not yet.
Not yet. And I say that yet because he is a great athlete, and I have no doubt in my mind that he is going to work his tail off to get back 110%. I mean, same injury that Adrian Peterson had about 10 years ago. Willis McGahee for the Chargers.
That's
right. A lot of players have had this type of injury, and it's devastating, but they come back. They're able to come back from it, and especially Saquon's young. He's huge. He's strong.
He's got time.
But this week is, I predict 15 to 17 touches in the backfield. He may catch a couple coming out of the backfield, but again, Judge is not going to stress him. Judge is just looking basically to make right what they did wrong in week 1. Yeah. They accepted that they really didn't play up to the Giants' capability against the Broncos, and they're looking to right the ship. And
Washington.
We'll see. Washington's not a bad. Washington, to me, after watching last week, I may have to revise my picks. I mean, I think that they have a great shot at winning the division. It's still a weak division, but I think they have a great chance of winning.
It all depends on what Taylor Heineken does. Anyways, all right. So let's move on to. I'm gonna take the next game.
All right.
New Orleans Saints -3.5 on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers. New Orleans -190 on the money line, and the Panthers are +160 home dogs. 45.5 is the point total. Remember last week I said Jameis Winston was going to win the MVP?
And Jameis Winston too.
Or I didn't say that, but he looked like an MVP candidate.
He didn't look bad, did he?
He didn't look bad. 5 touchdown passes. Okay. Now he only threw the ball 20 times.
More importantly, what didn't he have?
Turnovers. 0 interceptions,
right.
And that's key.
Which has been his huge
Achilles heel. Exactly. So 14 for 20, 5 touchdowns. Only threw for 148 yards. Didn't have to throw for that much because they had such a big lead.
Can you imagine your efficiency in high school, Patrick, when you were starting quarterback for I think you were All-State, I'm sure. But can you imagine having 14 completions and 5 of them being scores?
Well,
that's incredible.
That is incredible. Like, even though I do have the highest completion percentage record in the state of Massachusetts, 100% completion percentage. Just don't tell anybody I was just 1 for 1. We'll move on. We can edit that out. We won't talk about that. But anyways, 5 touchdown passes. He had 6 rushes for 37 yards. Very, very solid day for him. And like Eric said, 0 interceptions. That's the key stat. And they absolutely annihilated the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Packers didn't get the memo that there were only 3 preseason games this year. They actually thought this was preseason because that's really how they treated it. Okay, they were terrible, absolutely terrible. They shouldn't have. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked like he was throwing left-handed. Okay, 2 interceptions, terrible day. And after the game, he had this cavalier, whatever. It's just scene. 1 loss, and wow, that was hard to stomach. But we'll see what they do this week. All right, the Saints. Are the Saints that good? No. Okay. Carolina, on the other hand, Sam Darnold, another quarterback that kind of had to prove himself, played his old team, the Jets. Okay. Again, what didn't he do? Throw an interception.
We kind of called that. He was going to really rain on Zach Wilson's parade.
Yeah, and he did.
That's exactly.
Again, he threw 1 touchdown, and he ran for a touchdown, but he didn't throw an interception, which is his, once again, that's his MO. That's why he's not with the Jets anymore. He did the right thing, okay? All right, so let's look at this week. Are the New Orleans Saints 3.5 points favored better than the Carolina Panthers who are at home? The answer is no. If it was Drew Brees still at quarterback, I understand that 3.5. Not this year. Drew Brees is gone. Jameis Winston is not Drew Brees. He is not going to have another 5 touchdown event this week against Carolina. I like Carolina getting the 3.5 points at home, and I like the over. Every time these guys play, it's 45 plus.
Yeah.
So I like Carolina at home getting the points, and I like the over 44 and a hook.
Okay, that was very good analysis. I got to retract a statement I said earlier. Evan Ingram, actually, we just got notified he's out for tomorrow's game.
Oh, okay.
With a calf injury, and Barkley is questionable with the knee. I think he's going to play. I mean, they might upgrade him to healthy right before the game, but Ingram, which is their tight end that Daniel Jones loves to go to,
Yep.
he is out for tomorrow's game. So without, I still think that actually kind of leads me to really believe that Washington is going to cover because Ingram is a big target for Jones.
You're trying to get me to change my pick. I'm not going to do it.
No, that's good. You could be wrong. It's fine. Okay, well, I'm gonna break down the Buffalo Bills, 0-1, traveling to Hard Rock Stadium, Miami, Florida, to take on the 1-0 Miami Dolphins, who are favored at home against a team that a lot of analysts picked to be in the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl in 2022,
yeah.
and that is the mighty Buffalo Bills. Now, I watched the Buffalo-Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh traveled up to Buffalo very intently. I thought it was going to be a great measuring stick for Buffalo because Pittsburgh always has a very consistently good defense. Secondary is always good. The defensive line is always good. And I saw Buffalo Bills lay a goose egg. And I couldn't believe it. Almost felt like preseason again. I couldn't believe that they were executing as poorly on offense as they were. And it was...
When they had a 10-0 lead,
I just
10-0 lead, and then they let it evaporate.
And they kept Pittsburgh to a 33% third down efficiency for the game. Yeah. If you look at the stat line, you would have thought the score was 28-10 Buffalo.
Yeah.
But
we would text each other live.
Yeah, block punt in the fourth by Pittsburgh, recovery for a touchdown. Yeah. Little things like that, a field goal here, and it was just. I think Buffalo was almost in awe, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. They're going to lose at home to Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh is always formidable. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tomlin's a great coach, entering his 15th year as a coach. He's a great coach, Super Bowl winning coach. McDermott, they both came from the same coaching family.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe what I was watching. Anyway, so Pittsburgh is 1-0 coming out of Buffalo. And Buffalo has to travel all the way down the East Coast to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's coming off a win versus New England. A big division win for Miami. Say what you want with the Cam Newton, Mac Jones, his name is, right? Yeah, Mac Jones debacle. However you want to say it. Obviously, Belichick has put his belief, along with Josh McDaniel, in Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And it is kind of telling. I know I'll get to my picks eventually here, but I know it's kind of telling that no team picked up Newton, which I thought was very strange. Seeing there are some teams that he on paper should be starting for. But anyway, so Miami with Tua had a great game. Tua is not going to light you up with some huge stats, but he's going to take care of the ball. Yeah. They have a great receiver core, fantastic receiver core, good on defense. That is a good, solid, all-around team. Brian Flores, a major, entering his third season as coach. I believe third season. Major players coach. The players love this guy. They buy into his system.
They do, yeah.
So good things are coming down the pipeline for Miami, and it could start with a Week 2 win against Buffalo, which will be another division game. I can't stress the importance of playing interdivision games because a lot of times those are used for tiebreakers. If you have it's a 17-game season now. If you're both 9-8 and you played twice and you won both of them, it's everything can come down to it. That's why they're so important. But I do find it a little odd. Or surprising, not really odd, that Miami is a favorite at home just because of how heralded the Buffalo Bills were by virtually everybody, including us. I think they were in my AFC Championship game prediction against KC.
Yeah, they were.
I am going to tell you what. I mean, Josh Allen, he is a franchise quarterback, but boy, he needs help. Mm-hmm. Because they were really exposed in a lot of weak areas. Special teams were horrible against Pittsburgh. I mean, how you're down and you're punting within your 10-yard line. The one thing you can't allow, no matter what, is a blocked punt. And it was blocked, returned for a touchdown, and it was big. That ended up big. I think Pittsburgh scored 17 points in the fourth, I think. I see Buffalo going to Miami. They're going to right the ship, but boy, I think Miami is a lot better than people say. Tua's at home. You got the good weather. I think Miami Dolphins are going to win this game, believe it or not. They're going to cover, and I'm going to bet the under on the points as well, because I think Miami is going to control the time of possession enough where Buffalo is literally not going to have the ball long enough to set up big numbers. I see Miami controlling the ball through the run, through the short dump pass, through the pit, through the options, however you want to get it. But I see it being like a 21 to 14 type of game, I think.
All right, so you got Miami.
I got Miami
and the under. Okay.
Miami in the under for the points.
All right,
definitely.
I'm going to move on to my next spotlight game this week on the NFL board. And that is the San Francisco 49ers. -3 and a hook on the road, traveling to Philadelphia. Take on the Eagles. Points total is set at 50. 49ers beat the lowly Detroit Lions 41-33. Sounds like a close game.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No.
In the third quarter, the Niners were up 38-10. And they pretty much called the dogs off. Now, they probably shouldn't have called the dogs off as soon as they did, because that game was a lot closer than it needed to be. But they still won convincingly by 8. Jimmy Garoppolo, good day, 17-23, 314 yards and 1 touchdown. The heir apparent, Trey Lance, did get in the game in a wildcat lineup, and that was near the goal line on the 5-yard line. He got 1 carry, 5 yards for a touchdown. So he came in and scored. So it was good to see both of those quarterbacks have a good day. And when we said in our NFL preview show, the word platooning had been thrown around with the 49ers. Eric doesn't like quarterback committee. I'm not sold on it either, but I can see that happening unless Jimmy G continues to have days like he did. But they're going to try to get Trey Lance into that offense as much as possible. Deebo Samuel, monster of a day. 9 receptions, 189 yards, 1 touchdown. All pro kind of a day. Eli Mitchell, 19 rushes, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Now, the other Eagles, they stomped the Falcons. Absolutely stomped the Falcons. Jalen Hurts, 27-35, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns. 7 rushes for 62 yards. It's almost like he's trying to win the Heisman. It was just great performance by him. Nice to see him come out all the way, do the things that he can do, all right? He is how that team is going to go this year. And we talked about that in our NFL preview. So the defense kept Matty Ryan and his flying trapeze act at bay. They did a great job. Rookie wide receiver Devontae Smith looked like the all-pro he's going to be. 6 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Now, this week, what's going to happen? All right, the 49ers are going to travel, again, this is 2 games on the road. They're going to travel all the way out east. It's a 1 p.m. start. Again, a little jet lag. I see the Niners having a little bit of trouble going into Philly. And remember, this is the first time fans are going to be back in that stadium since January 2020. Hostile.
Some of the best fans in the league.
Yeah, they're crazy there. So I look for the Niners to have a little bit of a stumbling block here. So I like the Eagles getting 3 and a hook, and I like the over 50 points, Eric. Oh, and by the way, the Niners, after this week, they play the Packers, okay? They may be looking past this game and looking for that Packers rivalry game. So Yeah.
So you're talking a little bit about a shootout there if you're taking the over at 50.
Yes, I am.
That's an awful high over, in my opinion, but we'll see. All right, so KC Chiefs. -4 traveling to the Baltimore Ravens facility. Last week, classic Mahomes. 337 yards passing, 3 TDs, no picks. Lamar Jackson, another efficient game, 235 yards through the air. When they play each other, because the mutual respect that Mahomes and Lamar Jackson have for each other, it's very fun to watch. Because these two cats are the heir apparent best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, you still have Brady, who's going to play till 107, I think. I think he'll play another 54 years.
Probably.
But all kidding aside, Mahomes, we scouted him in KC in 2016, and we noted his arm strength, his body strength, the way his hips move through the pocket when he's passing. I mean, he is a total package. Of course, his dad was a Major League Baseball pitcher, Pat Mahomes. He played with the Mets and he played with the Minnesota Twins. So being a professional athlete in that environment is in Patrick Mahomes' blood, and that's why he excels at being a professional athlete. Even with the accolades he's received, a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, the guy is still in his 20s, his mid to late 20s. I think that KC is going to come in. You know, they did a lot of stuff wrong last week. I think they're going to come in and they're going to cover at Baltimore. Baltimore's running back situation is horrible. Mm-hmm. They've lost 2 to season-ending injuries. It looks like Tyrann Mathieu is going to be a full participant and a player in the game for KC. He's off the injury report. He was in COVID-19 protocol. It looks like Tyreek Hill, who had a slight... He might have a turf toe injury, which... If you don't know what turf toe is, you can always Google that on the Google interwebs, and that is a horrible, horrible thing if it becomes an issue.
It's wicked sore.
It can plague
wicked sore.
It's wicked sore.
Yeah.
And actually, Mahomes has a case of turf toe, which when you see Pat Mahomes in Super Bowl limping around, you know it hurts. But Hill was a full participant in practice today, and he is not anticipated in missing any action against Baltimore. And I think that you're going to see Mahomes. What you're going to hear on game day is going to be Mahomes to Kelsey, because Baltimore does not have an answer for Kelsey, and neither does the league for that matter. I think it's going to be the Chiefs are going to they're -4. They're going to cover that, and the point total is set to 55.5. You know how I feel about when the spread's over 50. I have a tough time taking that, especially with Baltimore's non-running core. Yeah. I mean, they signed Le'Veon Bell. I believe they signed him, didn't they?
They did. Well, he's on the practice
squad. He's on the practice squad.
Well, but he'll be starting pretty soon. I think
he'll be called up.
Yeah.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell, he has young legs. Who knows if his head's in it? I think Lamar Jackson, as being quarterback, might be really good for Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. But I see KC winning, and I see the over happening because I see KC scoring in the 40s themselves. So it's KC on the road against Baltimore. They're going to cover at -4 and go over on the 55 and a hook total points. You're going to make money. So cash that ticket. Take the over on the Chiefs Ravens.
All right. Next game on my spotlight is actually my GOTW. This is my game of the week. This is a Brooksie's best. The Minnesota Vikings. Brooksie's best.
I like that.
B&B. I just made that up on the fly.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Vikings at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 4 and a hook, and the points total is set at 49 and a hook. All right, Vikings last week lost in overtime to the lowly Bengals. Yes, you lose to the Bengals, I got to do the lowly, because they were 4-11 last year, and I think they've been 4-11 for the last 38 years in a row. But for whatever reason, the Bengals came to play last week and beat the Vikings. Now, the Vikings could have won that game 3 or 4 times and even got them into overtime, but just couldn't close the deal, and the Bengals got the victory. Now, the other side of this coin, the Cardinals. They flew into Tennessee and shellackalackaed the Tennessee Titans, 38-13.
What a surprise!
Wow. Yeah, just wow. Now, Kyler Murray had a phenomenal day, and Eric and I kind of put a spotlight on him on our preview show. Yep. We like this guy. We really like him, and thank God he didn't go choose to play baseball.
Yes.
Right? Because remember during draft, he's going to play baseball, he's going to play football. Yep. He'd be probably playing AA baseball right now, AAA, but now he is literally a star in this league.
Absolutely.
289 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, okay? They destroyed the Titans. There's no other way to describe it. Now, the Vikings, as I said, they looked lackluster, and that's at best, against the Bengals. Now, so, Arizona Cardinals look like world beaters. The Vikings look like they could be playing Pop Warner football, high school, okay? So, why is the line only 4.5? Something's not right here, okay? Just typically, a home team gets 3 points just from showing up. Yes. So, you're trying to tell me that after last week's game that the Cardinals are just take the 3 that they get automatically, they're 1.5 point better than the Vikings? No. This game, something stinks. The game should be closer to 7.5 than 4.5. If Vikings are that bad and the Cardinals are that good, I don't believe it. I think the Vikings are better than people think. I think they had a really crappy week. Mm-hmm. They're going to bounce back this week. I like the Vikings getting the 4.5. They may even win this game. So I'm going to look at the money line too. They're plus 170 to win the game outright. And I'm going with the over. Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray. This is going to be a shootout. I like the over. I like the Vikings. Now, one other thing, another prop bet. We love prop bets here. This one is from my friends at DraftKings. Sponsorship. I did it again. DraftKings, check it out. FanDuel, check it out. They have great bets here. All right, the prop bet that Eric and I looked at here was the touchdowns. Yeah. Okay, Vikings, total touchdowns in the game, 2.5. 2.5 touchdowns. And excuse me, that's Kirk Cousins throwing. Kirk Cousins is going to throw for more than 2.5 touchdowns. I'm taking Kirk Cousins over 2.5 touchdown passes.
I told you from the get-go I don't like that prop bet because Minnesota is not a strong road team. Anyway, so we will agree to disagree on that pick. I'm going to break down the Dallas Cowboys going to the West Coast into LA Charger territory. Okay. I don't think this is right here. So
Chargers are at Dallas, right?
I think no. Dallas is actually going to LA. I believe.
All right, let's.
I can verify that in 2 seconds. Yeah, it's Dallas Cowboys at Chargers.
Okay.
Chargers are favored by 3.
Purdue's is fired.
Yeah, he's fired. And that's why we need a sponsorship from one of these big things. So I'm sorry, but you're fired.
You're fired. Sorry.
So anyway, Dallas is going to LA Chargers in Hebert Land. Now, the game that started off the 2021-22 NFL season was the world champion, Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing Dallas Cowboys. There were a lot of storylines going into that game. Dak Prescott coming off a gruesome ankle injury. How was he going to perform? How was Ezekiel Elliott going to let Dak have a little bit of time, by having the Tampa Bay respect the run? How is Brady going to, all those storylines? Well, I can tell you right now, the only storyline the only stat you need to know is 42 for 58. That's what Prescott was. Yeah. 58 attempts. I can tell you what you're not going to do more than half the times in your NFL career. You're not going to win if you're chucking up the ball 58 times. When you have one of the premier running backs in your backfield in Ezekiel Elliott, and you chuck the ball up 58 times, yes, you completed 42. Over 400 yards, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Great stats, right? Well, that's not the stats you want as a head coach. You don't want your quarterback throwing it 58 times. You want your star running back getting 20 to 25 touches. You want especially coming off a gruesome injury like Prescott. I was so impressed. His first throw was almost from his end zone. 30-yard bomb to Amari Cooper. in Dak's form, looked like nothing had happened, which I was very happy. I'm not a Cowboy fan per se. We like all the players, but to come back from a injury like Prescott did and show the confidence to stand in the pocket, you're going to get hit. That first pass had to be such a confidence booster for him. And now they lost the game by 2 points to Tampa Bay, 31-29. So Brady lives for another win. Of course, Brady was Brady. I'm not even going to talk. I mean, Brady is the GOAT. You're seeing greatness. You're seeing the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. I could go on and on for accolades, but that's Tom Brady. Everybody knows Tom Brady. Chargers, they are favored at home by 3. Big news today was Dallas losing defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence. Horrible practice injury, which you never like to see. Broke his foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Donovan Wilson, groin injury. It's a safety for the Cowboys. It was the only other Cowboy that missed time on the practice field. But they won't have Michael Gallup either, which is huge for Dallas. He's one of their premier receivers. He was put on the IR for this game. Austin Eckler for the Chargers. He did not appear on the Chargers injury report, which is he had limited time last week as well. So there's some injuries for both teams. I think the DeMarcus Lawrence injury for Cowboys is as a defensive injury devastating for the Cowboys. He is a star. He is one of your anchors on defense. And now you have to travel to the West Coast, take on the upstart Chargers, Justin Herbert, incredible franchise quarterback. I'm seeing Chargers covering at home. Again, I don't know what's up with these odds makers. They're putting total points, Patrick, at 55.
That's a big total.
I mean, are we going to have a 55 for 65 Dak Prescott? 900 yards,
That's
9
what
touchdowns.
They think.
I see the under, and I really can confidently say, put your money on the under for this game. Definitely, the Chargers are going to take it. Dallas is going to drop to 0-2, which is going to put. We actually had them as the winner of the NFC least or East, however you want to say it. But Washington, watch out, Dallas. The football team is coming.
Yeah, and we also said that their head coach for Dallas is going to be on the hot seat.
Even though it's his second year and he's won a Super Bowl with Green Bay, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
When you're in a Jerry Jones-owned system,
yeah,
you need to perform and perform now.
Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit in baseball of George Steinbrenner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Al Davis, God rest his soul for the Raiders. Just win, baby.
Listen,
just win.
We said their head coach McCarthy. Look at him 8 games into the season. Eric, if he starts the season 0-2, we better look at him at game 3.
Absolutely.
Okay, because Jerry Jones isn't going to put up with that. All right, so
I got Chargers and the under.
Chargers in the under. Okay, yeah. Eric and I are now both going to kind of give our take on the Monday Night Football clash, the clash of the Ophers. You got 2 teams coming in with 0-1 records. The Detroit Lions, plus 420 on the money line, playing the Packers, the Cheesies, plus 600 on the money line. They're minus 10 and a hook, and the points total is 48 and a hook.
Yep.
All right, so we already know Lions lost 41-33, and the Packers got trounced 38-3. Which team is really that bad? Which team is really that good? Well, let's look at Detroit first. Jared Goff.
That's a pretty easy answer.
It is a very easy answer, but Jared Goff, 338 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Most of it garbage time. Like I said earlier, they were down 38-10 in the third quarter. They were just chucking it, and I'm talking about Detroit, because they could, and they had to catch up. So it was just a bunch of junk yards, and I don't read anything into that. He's not a 300-yard quarterback every day. He just happened to be down by so much they had to chuck it. So now they did lose cornerback Jeff Okudah, and that's a big loss for them. That's one of their best cornerbacks. He's out with an ACL for the whole season. So again, they lost the game. They lost a key part of their team. Packers, again, 38-3, got trounced by New Orleans. This is one of the oldest rivalries. That's how I have to look at this game. Okay, this goes back to the 1930s. Packers have won 104 games. Lions have won 72. they've tied 7. Okay, Rodgers has been in 22 of these clashes. He's won 17 of them. Okay, he's got 46 touchdowns in those 22 games, with only 8 interceptions. Like I said, Green Bay, they used last week as their last preseason game. They get it right this week, and they lay the lumber on the Lions. So I am taking Green Bay minus 10 and a hook, and I'm going with the over 48 and a hook.
Okay, well, actually, that line is now 11.
I got it at 10 and a half earlier.
That's right.
Yes, I played at 11 too. So,
yes,
yeah.
I don't blame you. Detroit, again, with Aaron Rodgers' success against Detroit, you alluded to 22 of those games. He won 17. The majority of those games were in the Matt Millen era, as we talked about, the failure of a GM at Detroit.
He might as well still be there because they're terrible. Okay.
Detroit is, again, I don't know how many times you can say this with any validity, but they're in a rebuilding phase again. Jared Goff is a very usable quarterback. They basically did a swap-a-roo with Matthew Stafford, the LA Rams. Goff is very usable. He's a very serviceable quarterback. He's not going to put up the yardage that Stafford gave you, but he's also not going to. He's going to protect the ball a little bit better. It's very easy to tell in the post-game conference with Green Bay that Aaron Rodgers is not on the same page with the head coach. The head coach mentioned how embarrassed he was. They lost 38-3 to the Saints. And Rodgers came on and he basically was asked the same question, and he said, it's just a game. It's just another game.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, it was very alienating, his response. Aaron Rodgers, of course, came in, when they drafted Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, was a 2021 NFL MVP. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
A multi-time MVP now, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You could
Hall of Famer. Right?
Yeah, he's. I can use one hand and not even count my thumb, and he's in that top four quarterbacks. Okay. He played. Maybe you said it best. It was a preseason game.
Yeah.
It was a horrible game. They're at home, Lambeau Field, which is a great equalizer, or I should say, a great catalyst for Green Bay. It's their 12th man. Same with Seattle Seahawks, and that. I see Green Bay really smacking down Detroit. I think we're going to see the Green Bay that we thought we'd see against the Saints. I see them easily covering 11. I see them. It's going to be a 3-score game possibly. The over is 48 and a half, 48 and a hook. I'm taking the over on that as well. I think that Rodgers gets off. You're looking at a 4 or 5 touchdown game. You're looking in the high 300s. Adams is going to have a great game at running back. I just think that Green Bay is the Green Bay you saw against the Saints is not the Green Bay Packers.
No.
And I think the coach gets it right. I think Rodgers gets it right, and I think that they celebrate in Green Bay after a huge win against the Lions.
Yes. All right. So we both agree on the Monday night clash. So take the Packers and take the over. All right. So that kind of covers our NFL. We're going to move on to a couple of the college football games on the board that we each kind of spotlighted. So Eric, why don't you? Looks like you got Tulsa at Ohio State. Why don't you give us a quick...
Well, that's going to be a barn burner.
Okay.
Although Ohio State already has a loss, which is surprising to a lot of people.
Shocking.
Tulsa's 0-2. Ohio State's only a 27 and a hook favorite. They're at home. What can you really say about the over the points 16 a hook? I am taking Ohio State all day long. Too strong, too much better coached. Tulsa's not a powerhouse, never has been. They're gonna go 0-3. Ohio State's looking to get back in the win column, and I really think the running game, the special teams, especially for Ohio State, are so much better than Tulsa, and that comes from being a powerhouse team. You're getting better recruits.
Yeah.
You're getting the best of the best. It's the same for any sport, any professional sport. You look at except for the Giants, New York Football Giants. They're one of the biggest markets there is, and they stink. Same with the Jets. Isn't that crazy?
That doesn't
one of the
make
biggest
sense.
markets in sports, and both teams stink consistently. By the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ohio State, they're perennial champions. They always, whether they win the championship or not, they're usually in the hunt right towards the end. They're easily going to cover 27 and a hook. Mark it down, folks. Take the over. It's 16 a hook. Take the over and take Ohio State. You'll cash a little bit of money.
Long day for Tulsa is what you're saying.
It's going to be a trip that Tulsa wishes the bus broke down.
They didn't take, right. All right, so...
It's really not there's no real technical analysis to go over with this game. It's such a mismatch.
Blow out.
I find it hard to believe that you actually gave me this game, so thank you.
You're welcome. All right, spotlight game for me is Michigan State traveling to take on the Miami Hurricanes.
He didn't do the U, did he?
I just did.
He did? Oh, okay.
They're -6, the Canes. Michigan State, 2-0. They beat Northwestern, and they beat Youngstown State. Okay, not two really great teams, but wins are wins. That's how you have to look at it. Miami, the U, on the other hand, lost to Alabama opening week. That's a tough game. And then they had kind of a cupcake game, Appalachian State. But Appalachian State showed up, and they gave the Canes a game. But the Canes won 25-23, but it was a nail-biter. Miami has to get things right. I think this is the week they're going to do it. Quarterback, Derek King hasn't been that great first two games. Thrown two interceptions, only has one touchdown pass, 379 yards. He was hoping to be at 300 and 350 yards per game quarterback. Hasn't happened yet. Michigan State, shining star so far for them is their running back. Kenneth Walker III has 321 yards in their two games in 30 carries. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry. He's got 5 touchdowns. Miami's D-line, despite not having two great games, has had pretty decent moments. They've had a number of sacks. They get in the backfield a lot of tackles for losses. Quarterback from Michigan State, Peyton Thorne, he is prone to interceptions. The 3 games that he started last year, okay, Indiana, Ohio State, and Penn State, he got pressured a lot. He threw interceptions in every game. They lost every game. Look for Miami to blitz this kid a lot. Get him out of the pocket. He can be erratic. I look for Miami to cause a couple turnovers from their quarterback. I like the Canes, -6. The points total is set at 54 and a hook. I'm looking towards the under. It's going to be 95 degrees, 100% humidity. It is going to be swamp-like down there. Michigan State is not going to like that humidity. They're not going to be happy to be down there. Look for a low-scoring game, but the U to cover that -6.
Okay, well,
I did the U, I think, 3 times.
yeah, that's 3 too many, but that's okay. Let's break down USC traveling to Washington State. USC going into Washington State as an 8 and a hook favorite. Both teams are 1-1. Washington State. Let's go USC. They won against San Jose State 30-7. Went to Stanford, lost to the Stanford team 42-28.
And they lost their coach because of it.
Yes.
So
coach is gone. They traveled to Washington State. Both teams are 1-1. 62 and a hook is the point total. USC again. This kind of goes with the Tulsa Ohio State analysis. Much better team. Washington State's not bad, but they just don't have the firepower.
No.
I think USC, even with the change at the helm, is going to go to Washington State. It's going to cover. I would not take the over in this game. I don't think that. I think the defense of USC is going to keep Washington State from scoring. They had a 59 point victory early in the season, then they lost their second game. Senior quarterback Orantano, big kid, 6'4", 200 pounds. Really hasn't shown much this year. He's 8 for 13, I think. Washington State does not have the firepower to stay with USC. USC is easily going to cover. They're going to win. It's going to be a 20, 25-point victory. But I don't like that point total at 62.5. I don't like that. It's too high. We do know that we've seen, there are higher scoring games in college football, of course. There's a lot of different running guns. There's all kinds of option plays, and it's a faster game per se, but I don't like that at all. I would take the under. I would take USC to cover, but I'm going to take the under in points.
Okay. All right. My second spotlight game is the Purdue Boilermakers on the road to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, Notre Dame is 7.5 favored, so 7.5 point favorite. 58 points is the points total. Purdue comes into the game 2-0. They've beaten Oregon State and they beat Connecticut, which was 1,000,000 to 1, I think, to win the college football championship. And they trounced Connecticut, I think, 49-0. So kind of a warm-up game. Notre Dame, on the other hand, they come in also 2-0. Had a little more test, I guess you could say. They beat Florida State 41-38. Very exciting game. And then a close game against Toledo. Again, not up to Notre Dame standards, but Notre Dame did what they had to do to win. This week, look for Jack Cohn, who has a 69% completion percentage so far. Having a great year at quarterback. He's got over 600 yards passing. He's got 6 touchdowns. Okay, their passing offense gets it straight, gets it rocking and rolling this week against a very weak Purdue secondary. I look for them to be running on all cylinders. I am all over Notre Dame -7.5, and I am all over the over 58 points. Notre Dame puts up a 50 spot themselves. I see a 50-21 kind of game. Go Irish.
Good analysis. We have a few minutes left in our show tonight, so you know what? Let's hit the UFC Fight Night from Vegas on September 18th. The main event consists of light heavyweight bout between Anthony Lionheart Smith versus Ryan Superman Spawn. Span or Spawn?
Yeah, either one. Whatever you want it to be.
I think it's Span.
Yeah, I think you're right. So,
Smith, of course, I mean, the guy is 35-16. Talk about some fights.
He's had some big ones.
And he actually comes in as a pretty good favorite against Spawn, who's 19-6 overall in MMA. I'm looking, I like Anthony Smith. I like the grappler. I think that, light heavyweights, they're so fun to watch because, boy, oh boy, can they hit. Power. It's not, you're not your lightweights where you're going 100 miles an hour with speed and you're running around the octagon. Light heavyweights, they keep it real. They're strikers. When they run on the ground with a light heavyweight, the ground games are very crucial. I think I'm definitely leaning towards Smith in this bout. He comes in at -188 as a favorite for the money.
And Superman is +152 as a dog. He's no slouch.
No. He's 19-6 overall in MMA.
Yeah, both these guys weigh in at 205. Superman is 6'5", Smith is 6'4". The reach, Superman is a 79-inch reach, Smith 76. So not really that big a deal.
They're both comparable.
They're both comparable. Now Smith comes in on a 2-fight win streak. Superman 1 for 2 in his last 2 fights, 2 out of his last 3. I just think it's just class versus someone that hasn't had the type of fights that the other guy has.
Yeah.
And that's Lionheart. He has fought Rashard Evans, Alexander Gustafsson. 2 years ago he had a title shot against John Bones Jones, and he went 5 rounds with him.
Yep.
Okay? Now, it was a unanimous decisions, and Jones won the fight. But, man, you go 5 rounds with that guy's the GOAT. And he lasted 5 rounds. So I just think that, Mr. Superman is punching a little bit above his weight in this fight. I like Lionheart Smith -188 to win the fight. And I am leaning towards method of victory. I like this play. I think Smith gets a KO or a TKO, and that's +200. Yeah. So there's some value in that. So I like Smith to win the fight and to either knock him out or have a technical knockout. I
agree with you about Smith. His opponent strength, fighting opponent strength is much, much, much greater than span. And you only fight up to what you fought against before. I mean, you look at boxing, it's the same way. If your opponent's strength is, if they're tuna cans, as they say, when you go in against a good opponent, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
So his fighting technique is better. His experience in the ring the circle is better. Everything about Smith's better. I will disagree with you on the method of victory. I'm going to take the points, which is plus 300. Smith by the points. So we both got Smith winning. Yeah. You got it by KO, TKO. I got it by points. Points pays a little bit better, but
okay.
That's about. I think we both agree. Lionheart's gonna be 36-16 at the end of this.
Saturday night, the Apex in Las Vegas, UFC Fight Night, gonna be fun. All right, that kind of covers our agenda for the evening, folks. Eric, what do you think? We head for the exits?
I think we wrap this up, and we appreciate you joining us. And go to the YouTube and search 7 and a Hook, and you'll get this podcast, which will be up momentarily. We really appreciate everybody listening out there. And that is it. We'll see you next week.
Thanks again for tuning in to the 7 and a Hook podcast. Until next time, may your bad beats be small and your big wins be monster.